Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, and our guest co-host, the Football Grump. And it's your 2025 Senior Bowl recap. We're here live from Mobile, Alabama, on the second floor. Like, we did a poll. We did it. We are on the second floor of our Airbnb.
The people spoke.
The people spoke, and they didn't realize how bad this Airbnb would be, so it's even better. We had a great Senior Bowl week. Fellas, I look forward to this episode every year, and once we're recording this episode, it makes me sad because it means our favorite week of the year is ending. How are you guys?
It was good, man. We had a really good week down here in Mobile, Alabama. Saw a lot of prospects. We're gonna have I really like the format of this episode that we have, by the way. It's different, some different stuff than we've done in the past. And I want to thank the Football Grump for helping us have a really great week. Grump, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. I want to start by thanking you guys.
Well, no, we're going to end with thank yous because then we're going to
all
be
right, fine. But I love coming down here, and this has been a great week. I think, yeah, I know you guys had some travel troubles, but like I got down here a day earlier than usual, and I think that we've had this week, we've had some like rough weeks where we're working all through the night doing stuff, and we've got this down to a science now. We've been eating good. We've been having a good time. We've been seeing people research. Rick was down here. Sam Prince was down here. So
a lot of Giants podcasts.
A lot of people were down here. Big Blue in the Bronx.
Yeah, I love it.
Tons of people down here. So I'm having a great time.
Yeah, Big Pat Sport, Talk Sports, G Nation. A lot of guys. We're probably missing, some people in there.
I'm definitely not mentioning, but everybody's down here. We're all having a great time. I'm happy.
Yeah, so this was a great week, and I want to get into it this week. So we're going to do 4 different segments for this. We're going to talk about the guys who were in the consensus top 50 going in and who had the best, just the best week. Guys who we think can jump into the top 50. The quarterbacks, obviously, with the Giants, and then we'll finish off with just some guys we want, and then maybe we'll talk about our and how we enjoy the week as a whole at the end. So I want to go through this. Let's get right into. Oh, and this is brought to you by our Patreons. Let me pull it up real quick. There's very special people.
Very special people.
We have...
Can't be here without them.
We got Jonah Wylam. He's Wylan. He's Wylan. We have Landon Nolen. He's Bolin, and he's Nolen. And that's it, Justin. Who are these special people?
These wonderful people went to patreon.com/Talking Giants. This was already broken when I did that. I did not break it right now. Patreon.com/Talking Giants. $2 a month plus some other tiers. You get to hang out with us live while we're on the couch on the second floor in Mobile, Alabama. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers in the mail when he gets back to the wonderful state of Florida. And there's some shirt raffles a couple times a month. Patreon.com/Talking Giants. Thanks so much to our patrons. Let's talk about a lot of top 50 guys that are consensus board ranked that we're at the Senior Bowl right now. Who's rising? Who's falling? Who do we like? Who had a good week?
Well, and stay to the end because we're going to talk about how this is actually not a couch and this is not supposed to be a living a room. All right, so I want to go through it. There's 12 guys who participated in this week that were in the consensus top 50. Shemar Stewart, the edge out of Texas A&M at 22. Walter Nolen, defensive tackle, Ole Miss, 26. Josh Connolly, the tackle out of Oregon, 27. Mike Green, edge out of Marshall, 29. And then Jalen Milroe, 32. Now, I don't think many people have Jalen Milroe 32 on their big board, but it includes some mock drafts. So that's like the 5 guys who would be projected to go in the first round. And then you have Ariante Ayersi, Jonas Savania, Wyatt Milam, Princely Umana Mielen, Landon Jackson, Trey Elmas, and Marcus Bowe. And I'll kick this to you, Grump.
Okay.
And I think whoever had the best week did come out of this group, out of the guys in the top 50, who simply had the best week at the 2025 Senior Bowl.
Of those guys?
I think of like who came out of here. Yeah. I think it does come from these guys, right?
Yeah, there's a couple guys. There are a lot of guys that did well and did well for themselves. I would have to say Josh Connolly out of that group. I think that Josh Connolly was the best offensive lineman down here, probably.
It's close between him and one other guy.
Yeah. It's close between him and one other guy, but he did everything he was supposed to do. I think he was the most rock solid tackle, and I think people coming out of here will say that he is the best tackle.
So I actually agree that Josh Connolly had the best week. Not best as they raised their stock. Just if we came in here with no preconceived notions, nothing, you're like, who do you think is maybe had the best week here? I would say Josh Connolly. Here's the crazy thing about that is he had the most viral clip that came out of this week in a negative week.
He was on the receiving end of Mike Green absolutely just running him over. I mean, it is, you don't see that happen. And usually sometimes when tackles get blown up like that, maybe they trip on their feet. Maybe
no,
they
that
slip.
wasn't the case, though.
It was just Mike Green, edge rusher for Marshall, who is listed in this consensus board top 50 right now.
Well, I think it's between those two who had the best week.
Yeah, but Mike Green going viral. Yeah. Honestly, like you're maybe from a media standpoint, you can really help yourself out, but from a team perspective, I don't know how much you can really help yourself out. Interview-wise, I think you can with teams if you just blow, you just blew a team out of the water. But Mike Green, media-wise, I mean, there is 32 fan bases right now that saw Mike Green running over Connerly, the tackle from Oregon, and having like one of the most 1v1 reps that you'll ever see. That media-wise, like I said, 32 NFL fan bases right now are saying, I want that guy on my team.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of that play.
And he came in with first-round buzz. He comes from, Marshall's a smaller school, so you want to see how he does against a good advantage. And I think most people would say Mike Green, and I think it's between those two who had the best week here, and we're going to talk about Mike Green specifically.
Mike Green, I think, led FBS in all sacks, right, with 17 this year?
17 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like he if he was, had a first-round grade on him coming in, he sure as hell, leaves with one. And I really liked, and I know we're supposed to be talking about Josh Connerly right now, but let's just talk about Mike Green since we're talking about him. On that play, that is the play that I want to see out of Mike Green because Mike Green is fast. He's quick. He can make you miss. He make it hard to just get hands on you because of his quickness and speed. But we want to see you handle strength. Right, we want to see you handle strength, and I really like that because a lot of times guys who are quick, it's just the corner. And if the corner's not there, it's not there for Mike Green or for that player. And Connerly, who is extremely quick, right, his feet are so fast, he gets out of his stance to protect the corner, and guess what? Mike Green sees that and says, well, I'm not going to just lose around the corner. I'm gonna counter inside, and I'm going to go through him, and that's exactly what he did. So, again, I think you can go between Green and Connerly, maybe even Shemar Stewart, who I didn't think have the best week in the world, but did have a really good week for himself, for the best player here. So that's what I like to see out of Mike Green. Make some plays in the run game when they did that. I think he definitely answered the bell because there's been times where you come in here and there's strength-only guys and there's speed-only guys, and you see they lose. Now, I will say this with Mike Green as well. I don't think he had – he didn't abuse guys with his speed the way that you wanted to, right? There was a lot of times where he tackles who are not going to go in the top 50 or top 80 who handled Mike Green fairly well. But he made enough of those special plays, showed off that he can generate that speed to power that I do think he had a really good week considering all things.
The only thing is I don't think that he did, like you were kind of alluding to, I don't think he did well enough that he should have left before day 3.
I don't think anyone did well enough to leave after the first 2 days.
Yeah. So, but I think it's certainly a toss-up between those 3 guys, yeah.
But the thing about Connerly, and listen, I still have issues with Connerly. He has strength issues, and it showed up on that play. Mm-hmm. And there was other times where guys bull rushed him that he did a good job, but you could tell, like, they got some push on him, his anchor. And I think that's a flat-out issue for him. And that's why I think he's a low first round instead of a top of the first rounder. But outside of that play, I think Connerly won consistently, and even like I think his bad reps were solid reps or good reps for other guys in this week. Obviously, he had the worst rep. He literally had the worst rep of the week, and that's what's going to live in people's mind. But I thought he had just consistently watching him and drills that are against tackles won on the run plays. He was able to use his athletics. So. I came in here liking Josh Connerly, and I thought he did a good job. Do you guys want to talk about Shemar Stewart out of Texas A&M, who just only practiced the first 2 days?
Yeah, let's talk about him.
So 6'5", 281 pounds, and you definitely see why people are in love with Shemar Stewart. And hey, he's the top-ranked guy in this consensus top 50 here at 22nd. He is big, dude. He is all muscle. He's a strong dude. And I'm not going to change my Shemar Stewart takes wholly because at the end of the day, he beat guys who are might be moving into guard. I thought he did have a good week though. He won with some speed. Right now, there's times where he gets his hands on guys and he doesn't have it. Right, there's times where he can't string a second move off of his first move, but he did show off the power. I thought he did good, and he won enough with speed where you're like, okay. there is something to work with here, right? Like the speed, he has enough speed to go out there and win. And, he had, Emory Jones, the offensive tackle at LSU, had a solid week, killed him. And a team drill, too, not just one-on-one, like getting off the corner, beating around the corner for a would-be strip sack, like literally knock the ball out. So I still have my similar concerns with Shemar Stewart. I don't think 4.5 sacks and 12 tackles for a loss over the last 3 seasons of playing in college football is just random and just stacks aren't the best indicator thing. I do think it indicates what he is overall as a player, but I do think he did himself favors here this week.
Yeah, I think that it definitely includes 11 on 11 too, where he made some would be run stops,
yes.
maybe some tackles for loss too, and that's kind of how I see Shemar Stewart. I think coming into this, I might have compared him to, I could see him having like a Jadeveon Clowney type of career. You're going to be around for a long time, and why you're going to be around is I think he can be a really, really good run defender, maybe even get to an elite level because of his size and his strength, and that can make you last an entire NFL career, a la Jadeveon Clowney, even though that's a guy that was taken first overall. He's had a good NFL career, a long NFL career, because he's a really good run defender. You just want more out of the sacks department. Maybe he evolves on that. Maybe he gets better in that. But in college, he's already been he has the reputation as the almost guy. Came into this year, there are quotes of him saying, I want 15 sacks. What did he come in this year and do? 4.5?
Oh, that's his career.
That's his
I think
career.
he had 2.5 on the season.
Yeah, so he came in here saying, I was leading in hurries. I had so many pressures. I want to turn that into sacks this year, and it just didn't happen for him. Now, I think he was still top 10, maybe even top 15 in hurries this year, but odds are in the NFL, I want to see you get sacks and hits in college in order for me to feel confident that you're going to get consistent pressure in the NFL.
I want to try and let's talk about one more guy who's in this top 50. We have Walter Nolen, Jalen Milroe. We'll talk about Jalen Milroe in the quarterback section. Ariante Arce. I think he might be the guy who drops out of the top 50. Yeah. Not that he had a bad week, but I'm just like, this doesn't look like a top of the second round tackle. Jonah from Arizona, Wyatt Milam, Princely Umana Mielen. Landon Jackson is definitely going to drop out of the top 50. Trey, do you want to talk about Walter Nolen? Because I know you're a fan of his game, Justin.
Yeah, that's a guy where I want to go and watch full games of him because you look at his name on Twitter and you look at there's a lot of plays that do pop up that analysts have kind of pointed out, and Walter Nolen's even gone on record saying, I think I could be the next Aaron Donald. It's like, oh, cool. And you see some of the flash plays that he makes, and you see why we got excited over guys like Johnny Newton and Kalijah Cansey over the last 2 draft classes. You see that in Walter Nolen. Oh, yeah, and he's over 300 pounds too. So it's not like this guy has a size issue and a size concern. So Nolen, again, kind of expecting him to come down here and dominate. He didn't fully dominate, but I also don't think that he hurt his draft stock. That's going to be a guy like, hey, may not be in Giants territory, mid-first round, back end of the first round. I'm excited to see where Walter Nolen goes, and then also just what kind of player we're gonna wind up evaluating him as. Certainly, again, wanted him to kind of kill the Senior Bowl. He didn't kill it, but I also don't think I'm not walking away from this week saying Walter Nolen played bad. And there are flash plays that get you really excited.
And this is a Giants podcast. If you told me out of these top 50, who I think is the most likely to end up in New York Giants, I think it is Walter Nolen because there is a chance he could be the second pick in the second round.
Okay.
With all the defensive linemen and edge that are in this class. So we'll see. I think there is a chance that he ends up being that. The next thing I want to do is we just talked about guys who are in the consensus top 50, and let's talk about guys who can jump into what the consensus top 50 after this. Justin, who was that guy for you?
Do you want to talk about something first before we do that?
Why don't we talk about today's episode is sponsored by Corona. You know what I always try to be? A fan that never loses. Here's what I mean. My team doesn't win every single week, but even when they lose, I'm still loving the games because guess what? That means that I get to go look forward to the Senior Bowl, and guess what? Corona. Because whether it's a big deep ball, some third and short conversion, or just a great tailgate out in the parking lot, there's always something to cheer for. And the best beer to pair with awesome moments, Corona. Corona is all about finding the maximum amount of joy within every moment of the game. Win or lose, at home or on the road in Alabama. It's the perfect beer to go along with watching football in all the moments that come with it. So, cheers to everyone who loves the game beyond the scoreboard. Corona. For the fans who never lose, get yours at ordercorona.com for 21 plus. Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. You'll be glad you did. So, Justin, I'm going to kick this to you first.
Yeah.
Who is the player that's outside the consensus top 50 that you think has the best chance to jump into it?
Yeah, now this guy is kind of right outside the top 50 in the consensus board right now. He's around 74, 75. And that's Gray Zabel, offensive tackle, listed as offensive tackle from North Dakota State, but he's probably going to kick inside at the NFL.
He played no tackle here the entire time.
No tackle the entire week. He was guard and center. Day 1, he was taking center snaps. I believe maybe some day 2, but day 3 exclusively at guard in 1v1s, which I like because he looked most comfortable at guard. And I think like there is a conversation, like we were talking about Connerly, having that, being like the best offensive lineman down here performance-wise. Well, Gray Zabel didn't have a rep where he really lost. I would say Jamari Caldwell, the interior defensive lineman from Oregon, gave him a little bit of trouble, but that's when you had Zabel was at center. So kind of matched up with that strength. Caldwell's a really strong dude. There was somebody else that kind of...
Peebles from Virginia Tech, who had a good week defensive tackle. But honestly, his center reps, I don't focus on too much because... Like, it's one thing to move from tackle to guard, to move from tackle to now you got to snap the ball.
But he was dominant at guard.
Yeah, he was dominant at guard. And at center, as long as he didn't just get totally his ass kicked, that was fine. And he had losses, but they weren't bad losses.
No, I mean, like I said, Connerly had that really bad viral loss. Zabel did not. And I would say, if you were to ask me, I would put Zabel as the number 1 offensive lineman performance-wise here. So I definitely do think that he is going to creep into the top 50, and I have to thank him. My little voiceover got 1.3 million views. So thank you to Gray Zabel, a guy that I'm going to be keeping track of, seeing how he evolves. How is he going to go up? How is his stock going to go up? And really excited to dive into the film to see what kind of player he is. I don't know this on top of my head. Maybe should have looked this up before. I probably will try and find guard film of him if he played, let's just say in a previous year, whether that's 2023, 2022, I don't know. But Gray Zabel, offensive lineman, North Dakota State, he's going to rise. I thought he was the best offensive lineman here this week.
I think he's guaranteed to go in round 2 after this. It's sometimes we do the Senior Bowl stuff, and it's like, how much does it actually matter at the end of the day? For guys like Gray Zabel, it 100% matters because we've seen it matter to other FBS or FCS schools before. Cody Mock came in here and he ended up going in the 17th pick of the second round to the Bucs. And Gray Zabel is playing a different position in the NFL. We wanted to see it. I think there's other guys who will talk about getting the top 50. I actually think the guys who have the best chance are probably like 51 to 57 and other guys dropping below. But I don't think those guys had these weeks that I want to sit here and talk about. Gray Zabel, I think, is a guarantee to jump in the top 50 after this week. Like when you look at Dane Brugler and Daniel Jeremiah's top 50s coming out of this a week from now, I would almost guarantee that he ends up in. He had a really solid week, Grump.
I would 100% agree with that. I think he's great. I think he's only played at tackle at NDSU, and also
which is very surprising, right? Like he comes in here, lines up. Clearly, you're training for it. Comes in here, lines up at guard and even center.
And center, yeah.
It doesn't lose.
No.
You know what I mean?
If I had to pick someone to jump into the consensus top 50, he's not near the top 50 right now, but I think the consensus is a little wacky right now, and I think there's going to be a lot of adjustments coming in the upcoming weeks, especially now. This is sort of like the benchmark for when things really start to move is Shrine Bowl and Senior Bowl. Yeah. And for me, he's currently at like 131, but it's Quincy Riley, the corner from Louisville. 5'10" is a little bit short, but with 31-inch arms, he doesn't look 5'10" on the field.
He's an outside corner.
Yeah, he's an outside corner. He played a lot of zone, it looked like, at Louisville. I didn't have a ton of tape on him going into this. Definitely someone I'm going to dive into, but probably the most dominant defensive back that was down here. Really, really, really good ball skills, really good timing, always gets his hand in there, never really getting his hand on jerseys, holding that. Like, we were down here, one of the things we were kind of sort of complaining about is that umpires and back judges were throwing flags like almost every play for a while, especially day 2. It was like every single play there was a flag. It was driving me nuts. But I don't think that he's just not a grabby guy. Just very, very in sync, mirrors guys really well, knows kind of how to tempo his speed to close, and really aggressive at the catch point. I think that he did himself a lot of favors. I think that the combine can really, really help him as well.
That 40, yeah.
Yeah, the 40 time is going to probably do a lot for him as well. But he came in here and he measured pretty well. I think he's like 195. I think he's 5'10" and some more. So, that's adequate size, and with the 31-inch arms, I think he's got the total package and the film to back it up.
Yeah, he made some of the best play-on-the-ball plays throughout the week, and the stats kind of back it up. Out of all the cornerbacks that were down here, it was Trey Amos that led in pass breakups with 10. Quincy Riley was right there at 9, and his forced incompletion rate, I kind of view, if you're like around 20%, that's really damn good. He was at 18%, and he had 2 interceptions this year. So definitely the stats back up. Hey, this is a guy that can make a play on the football. I love 31-inch arms. Even if you're targeted a little bit, he had 66 targets this past year, but a catch rate of 48.5%. That tells me, and this is the NFL, you're going to get targeted in the NFL, especially, hey, if you want to own that CB1 mantle, you're going to get targeted a lot in the NFL. Can you make a play on the football? A la we know about Deonte Banks. I view that as a very important trade. Quincy Riley from Louisville's got it.
Yeah, and, what I liked about him is, like you said, there's great coverage reps, but there was times where he didn't win quick. He didn't have this dominant rep, and he would get himself back into the play, right? So unless, you're throwing a great ball, he would track and get his hand on the football on some pretty difficult ones. When we were watching him a lot on day 2, me and you really focus on wide receivers and corners. And he was the winner of the day on the national side.
I don't think he lost a rep day 2.
Yeah, the only one where he ended up getting a pass breakup by closing into that space and getting his hand on. So Quincy Riley kind of feels like that like a good cornerback too in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be your number 1 corner, but he's a good cornerback too in the NFL. My guy, I feel like we'd be wrong to not bring up who we thought had the best wide receiver week, because this is a lot of times this is a wide receiver.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a wide receiver week. Now, this year did not just didn't have the names that you would look for, but
there's some good names, but not the names. Right?
Short Kings kind of do their thing down here, and it's led to some success, right? Tank Dell, we know he's a good player. Calvin Austin has been a starter in the NFL. Now, those players come with their downfalls. They've both been injured. But Tez Johnson, the wide receiver out of Oregon, and we actually interviewed him, Justin, on our first day here, Monday morning, 6:30 a.m.
It's his first interview.
Yeah, first interview, right? And the interviews are very voluntary. So, he's someone that's willing to get up. And we brought a whiteboard
for the quarterbacks.
For the quarterbacks, right? We brought a whiteboard for the quarterbacks because we were stealing the Giants segment of you had to run a play 100 times, for the rest of your or whatever the rest of your life. What's that play that you're going to run, right? Basically, hey, show me a play with options. Talk to me about it.
No intention of using that whiteboard for any position besides quarterback.
Yeah, and he's we asked what's one of your favorite plays, and I think you were asking that of one of his best plays of his career.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you just give me that whiteboard? And
can I draw
started drawing it up. And Justin's Justin's going to post that video.
I think he drew 3 plays.
Oh, yeah. He was, yeah. So Justin's going to post that video, but he just won consistently. One-on-ones were not even a competition. Just had the most separation. Hey, he's 160 pounds. He's 5'9". I would expect that. But we've seen those guys find success. Obviously, he's going to be limited to slot in the NFL, but I wanted to watch him when he was getting pressed up. Did a good job to get quick releases. Had a couple of those, all-star game releases that take, way more steps than you're really going to get. But just has the speed, the juice. He can separate, down the field as well with that. He has real deal speed. And we're going to talk about the quarterbacks next, and they are very lackluster. The one guy that I thought they were consistently to be able to find success throwing to was Tez Johnson. Even the quarterback from Canada, Taylor Elgersma, I thought he had some of the nicest 7-on-7 throws. Those were to Tez Johnson. So I thought he had the best wide receiver week. He may not jump into the top 50 because of his size and his limitation as what his role will be in the NFL. So I don't, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, this is a guy that's, going to be a wide receiver 1. No, he is limited in what he's going to do because of his size. But I thought he did damn well, just as other guys like Tank Dell and Calvin Austin did down here.
And his numbers do kind of back up what we saw this week as well. Now, 5'9", 156. He originally was listed online as 5'10", 180 something.
Yeah.
So that is quite a, it's only 1 inch less height-wise, but, that's almost 30 pounds less weight-wise. So that is something you have to keep an eye out for. But you see 82 catches, 80% catch rate, 898 yards. That's a yards per reception of 11. You're thinking, is this guy is this a volume merchant? Is this a guy with an average depth of target of 5.9? Is this a guy that's just catching screens? And the answer really is no, because he has a yards per route run of 2.6. And that tells me that you're efficient. You're not just based on volume. You're not just, all right, we're going to catch the ball. We're only going to get a few yards, and then we're going to go down. He had a yards after reception of 7.4, and I think all that kind of stuff, his ability to run routes and get yards after the catch, I thought all of that kind of backed itself up this week. So Tez Johnson, and also super charismatic dude.
He was our best interview, and he was the first one of the week.
100%. So Tez Johnson, I think consensus board-wise, coming into this, he was 89th. I definitely do think he's going to start creeping up towards the top 50, definitely top 75.
Yeah, absolutely. So, those are our guys that we can see rising into the top 50. So we have to talk about quarterbacks. Unfortunately, and listen, this episode would do a lot better. This whole week would have been a lot better if the quarterbacks came out here and shined.
Yeah, if we come on here and said, I feel like we have our QB3.
There's a reason why it takes 26 minutes until we get to the quarterbacks in this instead of them leading it off. And unfortunately, they just weren't good. And, there's going to be more of a focus on Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart because those are guys that have been in the conversation for QB3. And I put Jackson Dart as like my winner of the week at quarterback, but I still wasn't impressed. And someone quote tweeted me and was like, I think Cornelius was the winner of the week because he wasn't here, which is like, unfortunately may be true. I didn't see successes from them, and when they did do something well, I didn't see the consistency. Both only completed a couple of passes down the field, so it's not like they were being aggressive and not being able to find it. Never saw really air it out. I did think Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback, looked the best. His arm looked the best to me. He was accurate for the most part. The only guy to really hit a nice 20-plus yard throw over the middle that I can really remember. Mm-hmm. There's a play that I posted where it could be good or bad, but it's two high safeties, right? And, so you have these two high safeties. You see him, check. And I'm like, shit, they're checking into a run play, right? It's the end of the last practice. They hadn't been throwing much. Wanted to see it. And it's cover two. He throws the hole shot to Jack Besh, the wide receiver out of TCU, puts it on him, gets it, and then a Georgia safety, what's his name? Dan Jackson lays him out and knocks it loose. So could he have a stronger arm and keep his receiver from getting the hit? Sure, but it was in his hands. If he holds on to that, you're talking about a ballsy throw by Jackson Dart. But just there was misses whenever he was pressured, even on quick game. Like I said, they didn't push the ball down the field at all. Again, I think Jackson Dart was the best. I think you guys might like Dylan Gabriel's week a little bit more. Yeah. But it was never there. And then we'll talk about Jalen Milroe in a second. I thought Jalen Milroe was just flat out bad for basically the entire week.
Grump.
I would actually agree with you. I think Dylan Gabriel was probably the most consistent all week, but he's also a guy who's really comfortable bouncing around. I mean, this is a dude who's jumped through several systems at this point. So
two different ones, because UCF to Oklahoma,
that's true.
He followed the coach, but still, I mean, it's three different circumstances,
he's
situations.
Comfortable just inserting himself and just going, right?
Gabriel's day 3 really bothered me because it was 7-on-7 red zone and he was holding onto the ball for 4.5 seconds.
He also scrambled on a 7-on-7, I think.
Yeah, and still wasn't able to complete it. Like his day 3 really frustrated me because it wasn't just he was bad or he was good. It was like, all right, well, the point of a 7-on-7 drill is not to hold on to the ball for 5 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think Jackson Dart actually did the best down here, but I don't think anybody did well. If anything, like my stock's down on all of them after this week.
Yes.
I came down here actually stoked that you have Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart and Dylan Gabriel. It was like, compared to previous years, I was like, okay, one of these guys is going to emerge. And, I mean, there's still the game, and something could happen in the game, right? I don't want to rule that out, but from the practices, I don't know. I think Jackson Dart, especially today, pushing the ball downfield a little bit for the first time, it felt like. But I didn't think that any of his throws were, like, flat out bad. Jalen Milroe had, like, a couple where it's just like, you're just launching it. Like,
Milroe just looked like a flat out bad. And part of that is the way he played, and it's a little admirable because he's so athletic, right? And I think he'll have a better game than he did practice.
Agreed.
But I think quarterbacks like Jalen Milroe, who are athletic but have huge question marks about their drop back passing, they're here at the Senior Bowl, and you really can't show off your legs because no one can touch you.
Right.
Because no one's allowed to touch you. So, and you want to prove yourself as a passer in that. So, like, Do you remember any time where Jalen Milroe, because other quarterbacks will take off and run. Be like, it's not there. I understand I can't get a hit, but this is what I would do in a game. I'm going to take off and run. Jalen Milroe didn't do that. Now, that also led to a lot of times where there was so many would-be sacks. There was panic plays from the pocket. He just – but at the end of the day, as much as I do like the way that he approached the week, he had a flat-out bad week. And as someone who was getting – we said consensus big board was 32. I don't think anyone comes here saying that if he's the first pick of the second round or the second pick – or sorry, the first pick of the second – the first pick of the second round, like going off of today and, we'll watch his film and you look at his stats and stuff, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's a nice shot. I would say that's a bad pick.
Yeah. I'll tell you the thing that bothers me most about his game, and I guess just the way that he was going about being, quarterbacking. And I'm floating into a dangerous territory because I'm talking about QB footwork, and I'm not a what's his face that does a QB school.
JT O'Sullivan.
I'm no JT O'Sullivan, but man, like there are certain times where I'm like, let's get our back foot planted a lot soon. Like let's have some more urgency. Like let's take the snap, boom, wait, active feet. Especially a guy that has as much athleticism and quickness as Jalen Milroe. Like let's get our back foot planted, and then on certain routes where you have receivers that are open in the quick game, get that back foot planted. That ball needs to come out. Instead, we were seeing, especially on day 3, that ball arrived a little late in the quick game because I'm like, whoa, his back foot's not planted because it looks so lackadaisical. So yeah, Jalen Milroe a little disappointed. He may in the game because this is part of his game.
Exactly.
He may in the game. All these running quarterbacks, all of them, in today's NFL. Their floor is inevitably lifted when they can move. So that's what Jalen Milroe has going for him. But and credit to him that as a passer, he didn't just run. He didn't take off. So credit to him there that he tried to play his game a little bit differently. But yeah, I'm not. Long story short, I'm not walking away from the Senior Bowl being like, I think we maybe found our QB3.
Or forget that, or even just intrigued, right? Like Malik Willis, we found out stuff after the draft about how he, just wasn't able to process,
Intrigue is a good word.
A lot of things. We were intrigued with Malik Willis coming out of here, right? He showed off his arm. He pushed the ball down the field. He didn't run a ton, but when he did good. He made throws on the run. We didn't at least Jalen Milroe could have made some throws on the run that wowed us.
Well, that's
and
what
I've seen Jalen Milroe wow in a game. I watched the Georgia game this year and left that game being like, oh my God, is this the one you take a swing on? It's just that nothing else is really matched up with that. Like I don't leave here intrigued from Jalen Milroe. I leave here saying hopefully the film gives me better vibes than this.
Well, thankfully, like you said, Jalen Milroe didn't just resort to running when things didn't work initially.
But at least make a throw on the run or something.
But he didn't even really move in the pocket. Like all he was stationary. It's just like these would-be sacks. There was one where I remember because I was standing next to you. I was like, just threw at that guy's feet, and you're like, wow, maybe he's trying to just throw it away, whatever. It's like it was after 2 would-be sacks on the same play. Yeah. So he would have been sacked twice and still threw it away. He was not really navigating the pocket at all. So I don't know. I'm not trying to completely eliminate. He's definitely someone that everybody knew was going to have to work on a lot of things, and probably was not a day 1 starter no matter what happened here.
But thought that he would be. He's practicing against some late first rounders and mid rounders. I was hoping to see him pop a little bit more.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
We need to keep a running list of best QBs we've seen. Best Senior Bowl QB weeks we've seen down here. I've tried. Probably annoying you guys. It's for me, it's been Mac Jones number 1, Michael Penix number 2, Malik Willis number 3. He's nowhere near me being like, oh, he's at a top 5 Senior Bowl week for me in 5 years.
This is easily the least memorable quarterback.
And I thought he could be. I knew he wasn't Penix. I knew he wasn't Mac Jones. So that was frustrating. Would any other QBs get your attention at all?
Well, yeah. I do think Dylan Gabriel's week looks a lot better because he did have some nice whole shot intermediate throws between 10 to 19 yards on day 1. Xavier Restrepo dropped one on the sideline. Really good Miami tight end Eric Arroyo, who did himself a lot of favors this week. He dropped the ball over the middle of the field, and I think it was between the 10 to 19, that intermediate range part of the field, which is a very important part of the field to throw, not just the deep stuff. So I do think Dylan Gabriel's highlight package looks better if those and the balls were right in their hands. It's not like it was that was a little low, a little high, right in their hands. So I do think his highlight package looks better, most consistent. But I mean, what do you have him like 1 for 5 today and 11 on 11? So certainly his day 3 leaves a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth. But also at the end of the day, Dylan Gabriel is he's 5'10", and that's just really
definitely working against him.
He's a 5'10" lefty quarterback, who's been in a ton of systems. So again, not walking away intrigued by any of these quarterbacks, unfortunately.
Yeah. And Taylor Elgersma from Canada, I still want him as the Giants' undrafted free agent.
Longer 7th round, though.
Nah, he went from 2nd, 7th round pick of the Giants to undrafted free agent.
Hey, he gets paid more as a priority UDFA.
Yeah,
I still really want him. Don't get me wrong. We will entice him with the van.
Yes. I don't know if that's enticing.
We had to cut something from the last show. But I still want him. I actually thought Riley Leonard was doing the arm slot stuff.
He was, yeah, I noticed it too.
Maybe Riley Leonard is get another former Duke quarterback. All right, so we're gonna hit our next segment, which is like just guys that we like. But Justin, why don't you talk to us about something first?
I will talk to you about something because today's episode is sponsored by Hims. Men, all you men
a lot of
out there.
Hims down here.
Life is stressful, and you have plenty to worry about without adding performance in the bedroom to your list. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hot and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Remember Dave Gettleman? That's what that impersonation was. Hims is changing men's health care by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch, like we're sitting on right now, but it's technically a bed.
This is a bed.
The process is 100% online.
You can use it in a bed.
So there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/Giants. That's HIMS.com/Giants. For your personalized ED treatment options, the products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with the healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. You will be glad you did.
You're glad you did. All right. Let's do quick, not super quick, but kind of quick. Each one of us can do 2 players. So this isn't like, just one offensive guy and basically one offensive guy, one defensive guy that you came down here and you really like what he is. You don't necessarily saying what he's going to be in the NFL, but you just like their week. And I'll go first with my defensive guy, actually, because I'm a little more excited about my defensive guy. Oklahoma safety Billy Bowman Jr. And Grump told me he was a corner, and I'm going to hold this against him for the rest of his life.
Go ahead.
For the rest of his life?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'm vindictive. Right now he's number 121 on the consensus big board. He's safety number 9 on that. He had 3 pass breakups and one-on-ones on Thursday. He had an interception on Jalen Milroe earlier in the week. And I think he can play flat-out nickel corner. Now, he's 5'9", right, so he's not the biggest safety in the world. Safety down here is we talk about it all the time. There's position. You watch wide receivers, you watch corners, you watch quarterbacks, you watch O-line, you watch D-line. Linebacker, safety, and running back, and you watch are force me to notice you positions at the Senior Bowl. That's what they are. They are, I'm not going to be looking for you. You're not in a position to be, making consistent plays in front of me. Force me to notice you. And that's what he did, right? Interceptions, pass breakups, and we were talking with a scout up in the stands. And he's like, he had like 12 interceptions in 3 years. He's a chance taker, but you kind of need to be a chance taker at the safety spot. And then I go, look, he played mostly free safety. He's played a good amount of nickel. He'll take snaps out in the box. And so Billy Bowman Jr., a safety out of Oklahoma, came out here. And I look at ball skills. Like, that's one thing Joe Shane said right in Hard Knocks this year, is that, like, ball skills in college translate to ball skills in the NFL. You're not going to find a safety who doesn't get interceptions in college and it goes in the NFL. And I was really happy with Billy Bowman Jr. Grump, who was one you could go offense or defense, whichever one excites you most, that just really grabbed your attention this week.
I guess excites me most. I'll switch to the offense. I thought TCU wide receiver Jack Betch was unbelievable down here. Yeah. I am actually surprised that I didn't know anything about him coming down here. He spent 2 years at LSU, his freshman and sophomore year, and then transferred over to TCU. 6'1", 215 pounds. He doesn't really do anything particularly flashy, but down here with the combination of really crisp route running and pretty decent speed. He's got good size to him as well. But that combo right there of crisp route running and good speed, the separation is remarkable. I mean, if any, you were saying like Tez Johnson was abusing guys. It's absolutely true, 100% right. When Jack Betch was open, he was like wide open. Like people were completely fooled by him, and he was definitely separating. And I think being 6'1", being 215 pounds, this is an NFL body type.
I can't believe he's 215 pounds with his twitch and quickness.
Yeah.
He just does things well, right?
Yeah, he just looks smooth. Everything he does just looks smooth. It doesn't look super. You watch guys like, I don't know. Some people when they're crisp route runners is very angular and twitchy, and he is very, very smooth in and out of his breaks and just separates. He gets open, and in the NFL and especially in modern offenses, getting open is like 99% of the battle.
Yeah.
And we didn't really see outside of the one big hit that Dan Jackson laid on him and what was kind of an awkward adjustment to the ball, right? He got separated from the ball.
He got smacked.
Yeah, he got smacked around. Other than that, we didn't see any drops from him, I don't think. We didn't really see anything egregiously bad from him. I thought that he looked like an NFL player down here.
Yeah.
I think you were starting to not compare him to, but like it looks a little bit like Puka Nacua, like in terms of what he did down here.
Yeah, well, it was in a way not being like, oh, well, he's Puka Nacua, just like, all right, but he quick release, crisp routes, tough catches.
Yep.
Right. So not a guy who's going to go top 60 or top 75, but I think a team will draft him and be happy with him.
And had a 1,000-yard year with TCU this year.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000 yards per route run, 2.44. Consensus board ranking of 124 right now. Drop rate, listen to this, the lowest drop rate out of any Senior Bowl wide receiver at 1.6%.
That's crazy.
On
That is
62 catches this year with the 70% catch rate. So Jack Betch, how do you like that last name? Had a great week.
Justin, who was your guy?
Yeah, my guy, I am more excited about my defensive guy than my offensive guy. I'll talk about a receiver on the offensive side of the ball. But Cam Jackson, who right now somehow is lower than the consensus board ranking that I checked last week, he's 215th on the consensus board. All this is going to change. It's like Grump said, it's going to change so much.
Yeah.
It's probably going to heat up closer to the combine. And right now, like as the Senior Bowl and as post-Senior Bowl stuff comes out. But I just like keeping track of it throughout the process because it's fun to see guys rising, guys falling, and seeing the trajectory of where guys are at. But Cam Jackson, the second biggest guy here at the Senior Bowl at 338 pounds. Jamari Caldwell from Oregon was the biggest one, weighed in at 342. Something to keep an eye on Cam Jackson, by the way.
340, dude.
He has lost 20 pounds since the spring. So I think, this is a guy that maybe is cutting weight, and weight may be an issue for him down the line. We'll see, as stories come out or whatever scouting reports come out, we'll see how that follows. But Cam Jackson, I would say, one of the strongest human beings down here. Maybe you can even make an argument. Like, I think he's up there strength-wise with Shemar Stewart and some of those other big edge rushers and big defensive linemen that we talked about. But he just manhandled and controlled guys almost every single rep and all week through 3 days. So Cam Jackson from the University of Florida, interior defensive lineman, he's piqued my interest. And I'm interested to see now that we're going to go back to the tape in Florida. What do your metrics look like in terms of rushing the passer? Like, I know you're strong, I know you can bull rush, and I know you're probably a really good run defender, but what do you look like as a pass rusher? That's what I'm most interested to see from Cam Jackson.
Yeah, for him, it was simple. He's 6'6", 340, and he played like it.
Fucking
simple.
strong.
Big, strong. And then I'll go with my offensive guy who's similar. 6'5", 345 pounds. That was offensive tackle of Anthony Belton. Right now he's 135 on the consensus, number 16 for safeties. I thought he handled himself well with his athleticism for that size. And just he had some losses, but thought he just held his own consistently. Like there was no panic in his feet. When he did get some snaps at guard, he looked really good. So I don't come out of here and saying, oh, this guy's going to be a huge riser or nothing. He might stay right at that. But, for a guy who's, again, 6'5", 345, I didn't see these glaring issues that are going to worry me. Maybe not a tackle. Maybe you move him in at guard. He's got the height and the size for that. But I thought Anthony Belton just played a good week, and he was my, all right, let's go see what the film looks like because his pass protection metrics are pretty solid. Like, what does the film look like for this guy?
Yeah, I think he just needs to kind of clean up his technique a little bit, but he's got the size and the anchor to really handle a lot.
Yeah,
at the
easy
tackle.
anchor. Like he plays to his size. What was your second guy, Grump?
So I'm going to switch to the defensive side and go to UF linebacker Shemar James.
Yes.
So we had mentioned like the really difficult positions down here to to evaluate, and it's for a number of reasons. It's because it's practice. Running backs is probably the hardest because when they're in team drills, it's pretty obvious when they're going to run the ball and things just turn into a mess. Sometimes they run drills where they're just running the ball, so the defense knows what's happening and they're just keying in on it. That's really hard. Linebacker is also really hard. And one of the hardest things that they have to do in drills is try to cover running backs one-on-one. And like you were saying, like when you're in these position groups, you kind of have to force me to notice you. So notice him it just kind of watching the linebacker drills. I just saw somebody who was separated from the group entirely, by body type. This looks like an NFL body already. 6'1", 225 pounds. He looks legit. He has huge thighs. Like it's like the first thing I noticed about him just watching them do like leg work drills and movement skills. He knows exactly what he's doing. They were doing this weird drill, and I never played linebacker, so I don't know what this was. They had like 4 cones out. They kind of had to like go to different spots based on where the ball was. And he was the one guy who didn't need to stare down where he was on the field in relation to the cones and where he needed to go. He had very good instincts and very good just field presence. He knew where he was on the field. Then today, where we kind of parked ourselves right in front of the linebackers, running back, one-on-one drills. Yeah. He had 2 pass breakups that were really, really good. One on Trevor Etienne, who I'm sure people know, running back out of Georgia. Then another one, the SMU running back, just blew by him, and he covered up. He regained that ground in the end zone, watched for the hand flash for the catch, and broke up the pass. I thought that he looked outstanding today. And then in team drills, whenever they did run the ball, he was involved. Yes. Always involved. Definitely excited to break down like where Shemar James was for a Florida defense that was very bad at the beginning of the year and then got really, really hot at the end of the year and ruined some games for guys like Garrett Nussmeier and Jackson Dart.
Here's how I know Shemar James is good. When he was on the field, the offense had trouble running the ball, and they were running the ball a lot. When he was off the field, it would be a positive game. When Shemar James is on the field, he's involved and he's around the ball all the time, no matter what. And the fascinating thing about James is, I don't know if you said this, Grump, I cannot wait for his combine. This is a linebacker. And Bobby, we've been full, did I just break your hand? We've been full on, like, linebacker and safety. You're almost the combine and your RAS score and all that shit, that doesn't matter because it's how fast do you play? It's how fast do you process? It's not how fast can you run, but linebacker and safety, it's a huge processing position. But Shemar James, from the Senior Bowl, at least from the Senior Bowl, and consensus board he's 290 right now. From
probably
the Senior
means
Bowl,
he hasn't been graded yet.
From the Senior Bowl, like, you can process fast, but not only can you process fast, but you're fast as shit. So I'm excited to see what his combine looks like and how he can wow people there too, because I think he can and I think he will.
Justin, won't you talk about the last player of the week before we talk about our week and our Airbnb and everything else that all the people are really looking forward to listening to right now?
Yeah, wide receiver Arian Smith. And first of all, there were a ton of players that we talked about on JM Football through the 3 days. JM Football Senior Bowl recaps, day 1, day 2, day 3. It's on podcast apps for the Football Today show that Bobby and I do. Grump joined for all those recaps, and that's also on YouTube on the JM Football channel if you just want to talk about more players, because there are a lot of players that we did talk about and we didn't touch on in this episode. But Arian Smith, wide receiver out of Georgia, this is a guy that does not have a full write-up on him in terms of consensus. But he was on the outside this year. He only started for 1 year, and I'll tell you what, if you go by PFF grades, it was not very good. But I'm shocked. I'm really interested to see what his tape looks like and what his production looks like. Carson Beck, not the best quarterback in the world, but this is a guy where I was doing kind of just my overall stat lookup and compiling stats for all of our Senior Bowl guys. A yards per route run less than 2. And I'm like, oh, this Arian Smith, this guy's not going to be very good. But he came out there and was quick. Very, very quick. The quickness stood out. So Arian Smith from Georgia did himself a lot of favors this week. Really excited to go back and watch more of him.
The only thing with him, and I don't know, that we were kind of looking up, like, why haven't we heard about this guy before? It seems that he might have been, like, super injured throughout his college career. That is true. So we have to look into that stuff. But otherwise, I can't fathom why we wouldn't know more about him.
Oh, my God. I forgot about
17 yards per – oh, that's his drop rate?
No, that's a 17.2% drop rate.
He did mention something that he had. But we didn't see that here.
No, we didn't.
We didn't see that here.
We did not. So that's why it's important to go back and watch and see what kind of went wrong.
The drops.
Shit, that's Darius Slayton on steroids.
We recorded on the second floor.
Yeah. This is my bedroom. This was supposed to be my
this
bedroom.
This is supposed to be this was advertised as 4 bedrooms, and it's not 4 bedrooms. It's 3 bedrooms.
I feel bad for podcast people because me just removing part of this bed, this is the representation of this Airbnb.
So yeah. It's 3 bedrooms, and then this open space upstairs they've called a bedroom. It's not a bedroom.
So the bathroom is right there. One bedroom is there. One bedroom is there. This is a common area. This is the top of the stairs.
Yeah. So like, if Grump was to use this as his room, when our producer Jeff had to take a dookie in the middle of the night, would have to wake up, open the door, wake up Grump. Yeah.
I'm way more likely to take a dookie in the middle of the night than Jeff.
I know. I just wanted to make Jeff uncomfortable.
Okay.
Like it's crazy. There's crumbs all over the place. It's dirty. There's bugs. It's just a shithole.
This is I've been in my
Which
mind.
I like.
It's a half step below a frat house, I think.
Which I like.
And it's a half step above a crack house, I think. That's kind of what we're sitting in right now. And there's another fake bed over here. Justin came up here just to I don't know. I think you were just kind of having fun. Like, I'm going to go sit upstairs in the bedroom.
Well, yeah,
He was up here for 3 seconds, and we heard a crash.
Yeah.
And I
fell
thought
through
it was
the
the
bed.
TV behind producer Jeff that's propped up on 2 end tables because there's not really a table. And I was like, Justin, you all right? No answer. So I'm like, uh-oh. So I go up here, and he had fallen through because this isn't a bed frame. It's got one rail in the middle, and it's just a mattress.
I fell through.
Yeah, he just went right through the The mattress came right out of the bed frame. This place is a dump.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, but we did record on the 2nd floor on what was supposed to be Grump's bed.
We didn't. There's a pit of misery right by the front door.
There's a pit of misery.
Where it's just a hole. You walk in the front door and there's just a fucking hole. It's grated and it's open. It's out in the open.
There is a penny in there.
There's a penny in there, and then the picture of the family is something I want to talk about too.
Can you go get that?
It's by my work laptop by the door.
We need to show the picture of the family.
We're supposed to record that with them. Yeah, so and I won't leave a bad review because I just don't believe in that. But I went and read the reviews afterwards, and I was like, why is there's some bad reviews. It's not a highly rated place, that's for sure. But I was mad at other people who just did the standard 5-star, and it was pretty rough. Here, throw that. Throw it. All right, see, there's who's with us here.
You walk in the front door and it's that family.
Oh, and they have a bunch of houses. Oh, that's the other thing. They kicked us out of our old house.
I think that's the biggest problem. I don't think that they intended for this to be a 4-bedroom.
I feel like we did this whole show on Tuesday, so we're not going to redo that. But we had a great week.
Yeah.
Very, very fun. Got to talk with a lot of people. Got some information on we talked about this on the live stream yesterday. There's 2 things that aren't fun coming out of here. One, anytime an agent or whoever talked to us about the Giants, it was all negative. The other thing is, this is where people love quarterbacks and they want to prop up quarterbacks. And so people know we do the Giants. Everyone just said bad things about Shador.
There was even someone that wasn't even talking to us. They just saw that we were Giants people. They're like, don't do it. Don't take Shador.
It was great. No, everyone said, anyways, but very fun week. Got to talk with a lot of fun people.
I feel like that's an important part that you just glanced over.
Well, here's the thing: is I don't want to do we got so much time to do the Shador shit that I want to watch I don't want to care about what other people say about him.
That's a good point too.
But yeah, we had a great week. We're going to the Mexican restaurant for a 2nd time because it's so good.
And we're going to talk about it for a whole year until we come back.
Oh yeah. I might take vacations here just to go go through that. If I have to drive through the South. I'm going to be like, oh, shit, we took a wrong turn.
This is a very specific part of, isn't this close to New Orleans? And
well, anyways, the Mexican food is great.
You don't really pass through Mobile.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying that's why I'll be like, oh, my gosh, we took a wrong turn. We know what we need to do to make us feel better, have some food. Mexican food from the best Mexican restaurant in the world. And we were like, oh, I hope we're not overhyping it from last year. Were we just really tired and didn't? Because we don't eat all day.
Did not disappoint.
Until dinner. And we're like, nope, it is just as good. And anything else before we do goodbyes and thank yous?
We had some more cookout. Cookout's always fun when we come down here.
Yeah, cookout's good.
I've had something fun happen, and it started to happen. The more voiceovers that do well of these players, and the more just reach it gets. I've had just random football players DM me their highlight tapes.
Oh, nice.
Which I love.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think you told either of us.
No,
this.
that's fine.
No, I had one yesterday, and then I just had a second one do it as we were recording. So like
Can you show me who without saying it?
I mean, they're kind of just like they're
downplay it.
smarter. They're smaller guys.
Don't downplay it.
This guy says he's draft eligible. He's a returner.
Well, he has a Senior Bowl picture.
That's not Senior Bowl. I
Oh.
don't think so. And then there's this guy.
I still think it's cool as hell.
This guy's big. Oh, this is.
Oh, he's a high school player.
This is high school, but still, I love this though.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're,
Dude, there's a lot of you'd be surprised how many high school football players are fans of the show.
But I mean, you know that I love calling high school football games, like high school football. Now the one guy was a college kid, so DM me your highlights, and if they're maybe good enough, and if you don't DM me your highlights, DM me like a play. And then if the play is cool enough and you made like this holy fucking shit play, then I may do a voiceover of it. And there you go.
Justin's going to be like the #1 high school football content creator in the nation.
That's
He's
worth
going to leave us for 24/7 Sports, unfortunately.
I want to thank you guys because
Oh, you motherfucker.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping in because I'm always invited down here. It's one of the most fun times of the year for me. And, like, I had a lot of junk going on in my personal life with, like, my real job and whatever. I wasn't sure I was going to make it down here this year because I had things change for me. Yeah, and I booked my flight, and I was like, I might have to refund this. Like, I don't know. But I made it work. I was able to get down here, and thank God because, like, this has been, like, a reprieve from what my life has been like for, like, the last 30-ish days.
Yeah.
And I had a blast. It was everything I hoped it would be, and I love coming down here with you guys.
No,
thank you for inviting me.
We always thank you, and you'll be on our draft stream. We do way too early draft, and there's just other random stuff we do with you all the time. But me and Justin had a moment because Robert Schmitz does the JM football recaps with us, and we, the last 3 years, and he stopped doing content. And me and Justin were like, because we're like, man, we miss Robert. Like he actually added to it
a ton. Yeah.
And then me and Justin like, could you imagine if Grump didn't come? Because Grump's like not paid by John Boy Media or anything. I was like, we would be screwed. Like I don't know how we'd do this trip without Grump.
Yep.
So very appreciative of you. We'll obviously put his Twitter and his YouTube
and the Just Giants podcast
in the description. The podcast on his description. Go check it out.
Yep.
I'm sure you got to have us on next week. How about that?
Yeah, I would love that if you guys could.
Yeah, so we can reconvene with Crank.
I also want to thank producer Jeff because we came in with the plan. We had a lot of learnings last year about like, all right, well, we're filming way too much and there's way too much footage to kind of go through. This year we kind of came in with more of a plan about like this is what we want to attack. This is what worked. A couple shorts kind of popped off last year after the draft, and they were like via Senior Bowl. So it's like, oh well, maybe let's just do this and repeat it over and over again. And that's what we did, and we had a successful week. And I know all this stuff is going to live on throughout the draft season on JM Football, and it's going to do even better, and it's going to explode even more. But, I mean, we had big accounts embedding our stuff, Yahoo Sports, Mike Green's from Marshall. So Marshall Football collabed with Yahoo Sports and Gridiron and all these big kind of highlight pages, and that those were our videos and stuff like that. So we had a good week. Couldn't be done without producer Jeff, editor Jeff helping us out, filming everything. And and this is one of the first years too where I was very laissez-faire with setup and this and that and editing and besides just my own stuff. And I was able to create more because of Jeff. So thank you to Jeff, and thank you for everybody who's watching, because without everybody watching, we won't be able to come down here. We can't come down here.
Yeah, so and Jeff has to deal with us just shit-talking each other in the car, which is that's a whole
He's joined in on it, though, which I'm proud of.
Yeah, I think we've rubbed off on Jeff.
Yeah. Jeff has evolved.
Jeff has become a better friend and a worse person because of us.
All right, that's an episode. Thank you again. I always get sad ending this episode because it truly is a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys very much. Appreciate the guy that's leaving the stickers of the Duncan every year. Whenever you pass away, it's going to be really difficult for us. So we'll see you. We'll be back home next week. Until then, let's go Big Blue.